Archpriest Sergiy Baranov, the great elder, was a great novice on the day of commemoration of the Venerable Ambrose of Optina. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Today we commemorate our venerable and God-bearing Father Ambrose of Optina, who probably is the most outstanding one of the Optina elders. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky, in his work The Brothers Karamazov, touches upon the issue of eldership. He actually takes the image of Elder Ambrose as the prototype of his Elder Zosimus. He touches upon this unique phenomenon, eldership, and he, Fyodor Mikhailovich, says in his work that Rus did not get accustomed to eldership easily. It was a unique phenomenon even for the Holy Rus. And not everyone understood it and accepted it. However, this happened at the monastery of Optina. Before the revolution, there were thousands of monasteries in Rus. Nevertheless, eldership, to the full extent and in its unique shape, manifested itself at Optina Pustin, Glinsk Hermitage, and to some measure on Valam. It was kind of not traditional, unusual, and incomprehensible for many people. Right at that time, at the end of the 19th, the beginning of the 20th centuries, such a spiritual opinion appears in our church, that the times of the saints have passed, and the monasticism that we observe in the ancient Patriarchon is impossible now. This kind of obedience we see in the ancient Patriarchon. There is no obedience in our time. This was the opinion spread among the members of our church then, even among the monastic. But Optina Pustin, with all its spirit, with its entire instance, contradicts this opinion. It does not just say no, but it lives through this no. They lived according to the principles of the ancient elders. They tried to live this way, without changing anything or referring to the times or conditions. They did not even try to live so. They succeeded in this. We have a whole range of Optina elders who, by the mere fact of their existence, proved that the times have not passed. But people became a little weaker and allowed persuading themselves in this. However, those who want but lack determination, as the Holy Father Seraphim said, those who want this fully may acquire the grace of the Holy Spirit. What is the phenomenon of eldership so special for? Who is an elder? This is not a wise and experienced person. Not at all. Well, perhaps I say partially he is. Though sometimes eldership manifests itself in very simple people who have never been outstandingly wise or reasonable men in worldly understanding, as the nature of eldership is not in this. Right at that time, a great genius lives in Russia. This is Leo Tolstoy, who tries to acquire the divine wisdom and enlightenment with the help of this instrument, his head. He becomes so miserable. Remember how Lenin spoke about him, the genius of his mind. It appears that not the human mind, but the humility of a human reveals itself in this issue. There was a case with a venerable Silouan of Athos. A conversation took place on holy Mount Athos. Many elders gathered together. A famous elder preacher, Father Stratonik, arrived from Russia. Other elders from Saint Panteleimon came too, and they spoke on spiritual issues. Suddenly, the following question arose: how do saints speak? The elders began to express different opinions. Elder Silouan of Athos gave a very short and exact answer to this. Saints do not speak on their own behalf. They speak on behalf of the Holy Spirit. This is the unique characteristic of eldership. A person does not speak from himself, but speaks from the Holy Spirit. This is why eldership is unique. Wise people speak from themselves, from their rich life experience, erudition, and reasoning. Saints speak from the Holy Spirit. They transmit what the Holy Spirit has said. And again, we come back to Holy Father Seraphim of Sarov and remember his words. When I spoke from myself, there were mistakes. When I spoke from God, there were no mistakes. Why? Because a human being is limited, no matter how wise he is. The space of the Holy Spirit is so deep and subtle that the human mind cannot enter all its nuances. So unfathomable it is for a human. In order to understand God, we should stop thinking from ourselves and enter the providence of God. Within this unique phenomenon of eldership, a person, in order to hear God, stops listening to himself, dies to the world, stops trusting in himself. He even stops respecting himself. He dies completely and yields the place for God. He falls silent and says, "Lord, you speak." This unique phenomenon of eldership is impossible to attain without going through the science of obedience, which presupposes limiting oneself and dying of a self. When a novice lives with an elder, he lives the elder's life. He lives through the elder's mind and will. In this life, he practices dying of himself, so Christ lives through him. Today, during the reading, we listen to the words of St. Paul the Apostle, who said the following unique words: "It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. To have Christ dwelling in me, I need to yield the place to him. This I should step aside. Lord, I yield. I step aside. Take this place." This mystery of obedience presupposes the practice of yielding and dying to give place. When novices yield to their elder or spiritual father, they yield to Christ in his image and become more and more experienced. It is impossible to enter the state of eldership without going through the period of obedience. Nowadays, we can see many bitter and sorrowful examples when people want to attain this precious spiritual gift in some other ways. They read a lot, reflect a lot, pray a lot. Look, I even say they pray a lot, but their prayer makes them nothing but a mockery. Demons mock them. Their prayer brings nothing but self-opinion. I fast a lot. I pray a lot. I read a lot. I retreat. I do good deeds. We may list and list this. And I become a mockery of the demons. Look what terrible things I say. I even say, I pray, do good deeds, and fulfill the commandments of God, and become a mockery of the demons. There is a phrase of the Holy Fathers. I have not fasted, nor have I prayed, been vigilant, or prostrated myself on the ground. But I humbled myself, and the Lord saved me. Without this last, humbled myself, everything else goes to the dustbin. How long do you pray? For the whole night. How do you obey? Once I traveled aboard a ship. We were going to holy Mount Athos, and some elders were sitting nearby. I listened to their conversation. One was telling the other, I have such a good novice. He has a very clever pair of hands. He does everything so fast. I do not even finish what I intend to say, and he has done this already. He sings well. He does this and does that. The second one sat and nodded and nodded and nodded, then asked one short question. Does he listen to you? This was the total of it. There is a phrase, knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. And I will also add, feats puff up. On this very holy Mount Athos, I heard the expression that vanity makes a young man out of an old one. It inspires him to 1,000 feats, to stand the whole night and pray, and to starve. It appears not only the Holy Spirit may inspire people, but also vanity and pride. When you stand and pray the whole night long and admire yourself all this time. Before Elder Ambrose became a great elder, he was a great novice. This is also true of the other Optina elders. No one sent elders to Optina from some other place. They grew up there from the beginning until the end. Not one of them started from the end. Everyone started from the very bottom. The best general is the one who served as a simple soldier. The best elder is the one who went through obedience. This is a unique phenomenon. When a person removes himself from the way of God. During the time of obedience, God dwells in his elder. He looks at his elder and sees God, and has such results. In the end of the 19th, the beginning of the 20th centuries, all people are depressed and relaxed. Monasticism is left in the 4th century. There is no monasticism now. Everything is gone. But Optina lives regardless of this. It lives in spite of this overall weakening. It lives and gives an excellent result. Holy Mount Athos lives up until now, until the present day, and this tradition lives in it. Venerable Father Ambrose, pray to God for us.